This last week in the state of Vermont, an officer of the Border Patrol pulled over two individuals that had been under surveillance. One of them suspected of being in the country on an expired visa, which later was found to be current. One of those individuals in that confrontation is also dead. The other one, I believe, was injured and is currently in custody. And obviously, this has created a lot of discourse on social media. In particular, there's been a lot of anti-Border Patrol sentiment, and there's been a lot of, honestly, a lack of empathy for this man and the fact that he lost his life, with people posting comments such as "ACAB, rest in piss," and other such comments disparaging this officer simply because he is a member of the Border Patrol. And of course, a lot of that sentiment is driven by the fact that recently in Bakersfield, California, the Border Patrol engaged in several raids, arresting people they suspected of being undocumented, but also just the general campaign of mass deportations being undertaken in this country under the directive of Tom Homan and obviously President Donald J. Trump. What I find a bit ironic in these comment sections, though, are conservatives who see this lack of empathy from a lot of people who, I will admit, are probably on the left side of the spectrum politically. But they're coming in here and they're being upset by this, saying, wow, it's crazy that people don't have empathy anymore. And the reason that I find that ironic is because this is coming from a group of people who have lacked any and all empathy for the immigrant communities in this country during this campaign of mass deportation. Because how are you going to sit here and criticize others for having a lack of empathy, according to you guys, but at the same time leave comments basically laughing at the undocumented immigrant community for being deported or failing to even try to understand the circumstances that would lead to people coming to this country illegally, as many of you will put it? You won't even take into consideration their circumstances of why they came here in that particular way. And you won't even take into consideration that the deportations of some of these people will completely destroy families and destabilize communities. But then you demand empathy for an officer who, we don't know what his sentiments about it were, but for the most part was part of an organization taking part in these activities. And, it's his job, sure. But the fact that you demand empathy in this particular case while lacking empathy overall for undocumented immigrants, it's a bit ironic and, quite frankly, hypocritical. And it goes a little bit further than that, because these same conservatives don't just lack empathy for the undocumented community. They've also shown a lack of empathy for trans people, for the LGBTQ community, for women in general, as they came out with their little slogan of "Your body, my choice." And that's why I found this to be ironic and hypocritical, that you would lambaste others for a supposed lack of empathy while being incredibly selective with what you choose to be empathetic with, or with what you choose to completely lack empathy on.